We learn from history that we do not learn from history. That's a quote from Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, a German philosopher with a really long name. He believed that humanity, despite all its many advancements and achievements, hadn't really come that far at all. War after war after war after war, we repeat the same mistakes over and over again. There are so many terrible things that take place in our world. Death on colossal scales, destruction, the brutal murder of innocent people. It happens all the time. When we're told about the past, we're told of all the awful things that happened. We're told of the Holocaust and how many millions of people were systematically murdered. We're told of the quickest killing spree in human history in the Rwandan genocide and the mass killings of the Cambodian re-education. In today's world, we hear about the latest murder on the news. We're told of the psychotic killers and the ceaseless violence. ISIS is terrifying and growing. Acts of terror are being unleashed on the earth through the deaths of thousands in Darfur and Indonesia. And when we predict the future, what do we see? We see corrupted nations and our most dreaded outcomes. We're not looking forward to it. We have a rough estimation of the number of people killed during the Holocaust. 11 million. Just think about that for a second. 11 million people. It's not just a number. Those people, they had lives, families, people they loved. And just like that, gone. The Nazis had decided that their lives were worthless, poisonous, and that they needed to be eliminated. Let's take a look at the U.S. Army now, shall we? Certainly it isn't us that are so cruel and ruthless. My grandfather was a soldier in World War II. One of his jobs was to check for minefields. Do you know how he did that? By walking on them. His life was expendable to them. Just like with the Nazis and their blatant disregard for the value of human life, the U.S. Army had deemed my grandfather's life worthless. Slavery is a gruesome subject. No one likes to talk or think about it because it truly is a terrible thing. To treat human beings as if they're animals. What crueler form of torture is there? Didn't stop too many people from doing it, though, did it? According to the 1850 census, there were over 3.2 million slaves in the United States alone. The number of people that immediately deemed lives as lesser than their own and unworthy of even the most basic of human rights is downright frightening. Why would anyone think that way? How could anyone think that way? To see people as disposable objects. No, wait a minute. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? The cruel treatment and deaths of thousands? We don't do that anymore, do we? We detest such behavior. I mean, we're not cavemen. We don't bang each other on the head and go, "That's mine," do we? As a race, we've grown, we've evolved. People break laws all the time. They do immoral and disastrous things. Terror has been on the rise in recent days. 9/11 remains one of the most infamous events in American history. Even more current is the constant threat of ISIS. They dominate our newsfeed and political field, their presence growing and mounting. In Darfur, a genocide is occurring. Since 2003, a group of government-funded and armed men have been burning down villages, killing and torturing civilians. For over a decade now, the government has been disrupting its people's harvest of crops, causing starvation. They've been poisoning their water supply by dropping dead bodies into wells. 480,000 people are dead, and over 2.8 million are displaced. And slavery, it still exists. It hasn't gone away. In fact, it's estimated that the number of slaves today ranges from 27 to 30 million. That means there are more slaves now than there have ever been. Not exactly what I'd call an improvement. We hear about this all the time in the news, that slavery and human trafficking has increased, that it's far from eradicated. These are all real headlines that I've seen. Children are sold as slaves in West Africa. Human trafficking has increased by more than 50% in 2014. And whenever people imagine the future, they see the world in ruins. Our country is falling apart. Our rights are being taken away. The government is failing us. Our society is crumbling. For how long will we remain free? These are all words that I've heard spoken before. And what happens then? What happens when our civilization falls apart? Crime would run unchecked through the streets. Everyone would be in a state of panic. We wouldn't be safe, and we wouldn't be free. Everyone's worried about the effect we're having on our environment. Numerous times I've seen it listed that several species might not make it through 2016. That my children might not live to see the creatures that I grew up with? The thought boggles my mind. What are we, this next generation, doing so wrong that we're killing our planet? We're all seeing these terrible possibilities. We envision the worst imaginable outcome. The reasons we do this is because all these bad things have happened before. Nations have become corrupt. Crime is rampant in some places. The environment is being hurt. We are going in circles. But the thing is, despite all this repetitive pain we've felt and inflicted, one thing has remained constant, and that thing is love. Throughout all the ages, love has not gone away. It's always been there, and it's here, right now, and it will always be there. And nothing, not all the evil in the world, can take that away. During the Holocaust, Denmark strongly resisted the Nazis. When information was leaked to Danish politicians that all the Jews were to be rounded up in 2 days, word spread so fast that when the Nazis searched for the Jews, they found only 284 out of a population of nearly 8,000. Everyday citizens had hidden the Jews in their homes, attics, and churches. Some people would go up to a Jewish stranger on the street and offer them their apartment keys. 16.1 million U.S. soldiers served in World War II. That makes 16.1 million people who fought for good and for an end to the atrocities occurring in Europe. While the army was not fully aware of the extent to which these horrors were occurring, they knew enough that they were willing to fight against it. The Underground Railroad, a network of safe houses and people that many believed helped 100,000 slaves escape to freedom. Men, women, and children were led to hiding places, given food and shelter, and offered transportation that would take them to the next step closer to their independence. Horrid as it was, 9/11 brought the country together. We became united again. The first responders that rushed to the aid of the hurt in the aftermath, all the firefighters, police officers, and everyday people that immediately ran to help. Those are the people that bring good into our world. And those are the people that will always be there. The depraved doings of the government of Darfur are nigh unforgivable crimes. However, they have forced the people of the world to realize how often we fail to recognize the plights of others, and that we must become more attentive and compassionate. Slavery is illegal everywhere and globally hated. While there may be more people today enslaved than ever, those people account for a smaller percentage of the population than they ever have. There are countless organizations around the world dedicated to the cause of stopping human trafficking. Our country may not be in the best shape, but we are free. We have a political system of checks and balances. We vote for the people that lead us. We, the people, have the right to do that. We elect our government. Is the system perfect? No, but it is there. And as long as we, the people, protect it, it will continue to be there in all its imperfect glory. Imagine a world in the future. Crime claims the streets and everyone is filled with hate. Almost everyone. Just as there have always been, there always will be people who do good. They will stand up for what is right. No matter what, those people will remain. And the earth, we're doing our best to take care of it. A conference just took place in Paris about a possible solution to some of the problems. Are these real problems? It's up for debate. Will it work? Maybe, maybe not. But we are trying. The very fact that over 190 countries came together to civilly discuss the possibility of helping our planet is astounding. The appalling and devastating things that happened so long ago, they still happen today. But as dreadful as those things might be, and as frequently as they might occur, the good is steadfast. That's not to say that we're not in a big mess right now, but it certainly means that we can change it. Fixing this mess we're in isn't up to anybody but us. What we think about is precisely what we get. So perhaps it's time to change what we focus on and recognize instead what love fosters. Kindness, compassion, generosity, friendship, and happiness. Starting today, what can we do to accomplish this? We can stop consuming the news and everyone else's ideas, and we can investigate and ask questions instead of blindly believing everything we hear. We can shift our thoughts from the miserable fact that bad things do happen to the unmistakable truth that good thoughts and people prevail. Finally, we can be that change. We want to see a happier, better place, right? Then why don't we start creating it? What is it that you want to see done differently? Do you want to see people being kinder to each other? Then start by being kinder. Do you want to see people working hard and putting effort into what they do? Then work hard and put effort into what you do. Do you want to see love in the world? Then love others. The incredibly simple solution is to keep loving. Loving ourselves, our neighbors, and everything around us. And that scary future that we keep seeing, it'll become a good one. It's up to every one of us. Thank you.